Hi everybody, I'm Julie, writer and director of the indie nerdy comedy Geek Loves Punk, and today I'm going to be talking about the X-Men. So I had to pick a interesting angle because I want y'all to see my poster. Okay, but this is a great, this is going to be a great episode, YouTube video about how I just really love the X-Men. So let's just, yeah, let's have a good time talking about the X-Men. You're going to love this. Okay, yes, so I'm Julie, writer and director of the indie nerdy comedy Geek Loves Punk. You can check out all my info below. So, someone left a comment. I made a video about the X-Men, just that I like them, and then I was a huge fan. This is a poster in my room of the X-Men. I got this for $8 at a comic book convention in Reno. Yeah. Someone left a comment. Here it is. Okay. Someone left a comment on my video about the X-Men. This person's name is This Game Stinky 89. That's amazing. Okay, that name's amazing. Okay, but this person said, I remember my dad used to collect comics back in the 90s. He was a huge Marvel fan, and his most favorite comic series was the Uncanny X-Men. Awesome. Great comment. Yeah, great comment. Okay. So I was born in 1982. I grew up in the 90s. I am now 40 years old. And yeah, when I was a kid, there's this cartoon in the 90s that on the Fox channel that completely blew everyone's mind if you're a kid. And it was called, it was the X-Men cartoon. It was so good. I think it's streaming on Disney Plus. But back then, you had to wait every Saturday to watch it, and the Fox channel would come in really, really like fuzzy. So like I would always hope and pray, and we had like the antennas. We had like TVs used to be like big; they weren't flat. And then we had like these big like rabbit ear thingies. Anyway, I would always pray that like the Fox channel would come in on Saturdays so I could watch the cartoon. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna say like 3 reasons why, like, when I was a little kid, like, I loved the X-Men, and I just want to explain, like, why, and, yeah. Oh, by the way, like, the X-Men, movies are cool, I guess, but, like, I like the colorful outfits. I'm impartial to this, and then there's the Astonishing X-Men. I love Kitty Pryde, totally. The Astonishing X-Men was a thing that Joss Whedon wrote, and maybe he's mean now or something, or he might have always been mean. I don't know. That sucks. When it came out. But anyway, but he did a really good, like, I hope he wasn't mean to people, but if he was, that totally sucks. So, but he did a run of Astonishing X-Men where he wrote a great storyline for Kitty Pryde, who's one of my favorite characters in the X-Men. So, love the Astonishing X-Men. I have all those there. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about the comics from the 90s. So, that cartoon completely blew people's minds. And to be honest, I think it's the best, like, live-action version of the X-Men. I don't know if they've quite captured the X-Men in the movies yet. And it's not a criticism. Like, the X-Men movies are entertaining. It's just, what I feel when I watch the X-Men movies is not the same as what I feel when I read the comics. And what I feel when I read the comics is like bliss. And I don't know. The movies are fine, but I think we're still waiting to get a really good X-Men movie. I guess that's a bold statement. Oh my gosh. I might edit all this out. I'm not trying to throw shit at the movies. Okay, I'm really not. Okay. But okay, so but let me talk about the awesomeness that is the comics. Okay. You can read the history. Pretty sure it was Stan Lee who came up with the comics. The idea. Yeah, it was Stan Lee who came up with the comics. Okay. So, I can also show you my swag. These are like, yeah, I'll show you my swag real quick. These are legit, like, comics from the 1990s that I bought when I was a little kid. Well, my parents paid for them. Which is awesome. That was one cool thing about my parents. They did they totally indulged my love for comics, which is really cool. Back then in the 90s, it was considered kind of weird that a woman or a girl was into comic books. And we've come a long way. When I go to comic book conventions, when I used to go, I didn't see as many women at the conventions, and now when I go, I see it's pretty even. I see all kinds of nerds, and it's great. Okay, so yeah, so these are comics actually from the 1990s. When I was a little kid, I grew up in small town Virginia. We didn't have comic book shops in small town Virginia, so I'd go to the grocery store, like Winn-Dixie is what it was called, or Food Lion. I go to the grocery store. I go to the magazine section, or Walmart. But you go to the magazine section, and in that section, they'd have magazines, and then they'd have comics. So that's how I bought my comics. So, or I'd get them, and I'd ask my mom and dad if they could buy them. They would. You can see they're $3, so yeah. Okay, well in this case, they're $3 because you see all the fancy sticker stuff, so yeah. Anyway, so this is one storyline. There's like 4 different storylines. By the way, I don't know how this works, but this is all IP. This is fair use. Yeah. Okay, so, but yeah, this is a really cool storyline about the, they started a new group called Generation X in the 90s where they're trying to bring in young mutants into a new team. Okay, so the number one reason why I really like the X-Men is just because basically the X-Men is, I say this with love, it is about a bunch of like weirdos or outcasts, or it's about people who just don't fit in for various reasons, and usually when the characters have a superpower, which they do, or it's called a mutation, on one hand, they can do really cool stuff with their mutation, but on the other hand, there's a burden that comes with it. And so what I really liked about it, and it's a metaphor for anyone who's ever felt like they don't fit in for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Well, what I liked about it was you can, whatever superpower that is a burden, sure, there's crap that comes with it, but then also you can use that, that burden or whatever, you can use it to like do really cool things or change the world. So like back there you can see Storm or Cyclops or like Nightcrawler, who's one of my all-time favorite X-Men characters. I have another Nightcrawler poster over there. Or you can see Wolverine, but it's just really cool because it shows like the comics or the just like, it's always a burden. And I want to explain Storm. With all due respect, they've never quite captured Storm in the movies, but it's just hard to do. But the thing about Storm is she's extremely powerful, and that is to say she can control the weather. So she really could destroy the entire world if she wanted to. That's how powerful. Think about it, weather. She could cause like, I forget, but tsunamis, you know what I mean? Like, she could actually really, and that's the part where they've never quite captured how powerful Storm is. Yes, she can throw a tornado at somebody, but she could cause an entire hurricane to destroy the world if she wanted to. Luckily, she's a good superhero. But Storm's one of the coolest characters in the X-Men universe, like, hands down. She's so freaking cool. Alright, but also, the idea is, so because she's so powerful in the comics, she has to always have her inner, like, chill going, because she does control the weather. So, I like how in the comics, if she's feeling sad, it might start raining. Or if she's in a good mood, it'll be sunny. But she always has to keep her inner chill. If she doesn't keep her inner chill, and she really gets like either really sad or really angry or what have you, literally her powers could destroy the world. So they haven't ever quite captured how powerful and awesome Storm is. They've definitely captured it in the comics. The comics, no. But they haven't quite captured it in the movies, and that's okay. I I'm not trying to throw shade at the movies. I'm really not. Like, the movies are cool. Like, whenever I watch an X-Men movie, I'm like, cool, this is cool, you know. But then I feel a lot of bliss when I read the comics. Okay, so, but yeah, the thing is, like, when I was a little kid, reading the X-Men comics, it gave me a place to escape. It gave me a world that I could just fall into. And it showed me a group of people who could do really cool things, but also had to deal with the world treating them different because they were mutants. And so that sometimes they're saving people in the X-Men comics. They're saving people who hate them because sometimes they're saving bigots, or they're saving, well, assholes or whatever. And they're going to do the right thing because they're the X-Men. So they save them even though they're being mean to them and stuff like that. The people, the bigots or what have you. So there's even a really good comic too where Wolverine wants to like murder like a man who's routinely committing domestic violence against his girlfriend, and then Storm and Rogue have to stop him, like, hey, that's not how we do this. Perhaps we're gonna call, you know, social services or 911, but you can't just murder you know, someone doing domestic violence. So that was one of my favorite comics. It's a one issue. It's in I have two little comic book. No, they're long, but I have two comic boxes in there. Where, yeah, when I was a kid, I basically, like, the X-Men were always dealing with moral dilemmas, and I just think they're cool. Okay. So yeah, first thing I like about the X-Men comics is a bunch of weirdos, in a good way. And so it made me feel less alone as a little nerdy little kid. Also, I ended up being gay or pretty much gay and blah, 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 whatever. So it's like, I just didn't quite fit in, and that's okay. But you know, in hindsight, I had a lot of good times when I was a kid. So, like, I can remember really good times, you know. But I was also just kind of lonely, that kind of thing. And so, when the X-Men gave me a place to, like, escape, like, in a good way. Like, they were just really cool. That cartoon completely blew an entire generation's minds. Like, that cartoon, like, was just a really big deal to an entire generation of kids. They captured Storm really well in the cartoon, I think. Also, Storm went through this really cool punk rock phase too. She's just a really cool character. Okay, I think the X-Men, now that we have Disney Plus, I think it would work really well as like a show or something because there's so many characters. Also, the characters have to have like chemistry. In the comics, they have a lot of chemistry. You know, but that's kind of important. Like, the group of people have to have a lot of chemistry with each other because they are kind of like a misfit family type of thing. Okay. Okay. The other thing about the X-Men, because these are the first X-Men comics I ever bought, you know. But the second really cool thing about the X-Men comics is, like, the world is so vivid. It's such a vivid world. So when I was a little kid, I could just dive into the X-Men world. And, like, you know, they have, like, the Danger Room. They have Cerebro. They have all these different other, like, X-Men teams. It's just, they also have, like, an outer space team. It's just such a vivid, cool world. It's a place where I was a little kid where I could pretend, like, I was, like, a member of the X-Men. And since I was a nerd, I could pretend, like, Kitty Pryde was my girlfriend. I was a lonely kid. But I really like Kitty Pryde. She was super cool in the comics. And, yeah, like, I don't know. It's such a great world you can escape in. And world building is so important for any writers out there. It's just coming up with a cool world is, you know, really important so that, I don't know, it's just cool. Okay. And the third thing, I already touched on this, but the third thing I really like about the X-Men is that they're people, you know, dealing with their own stuff, but they're always fighting for the greater good. Because, like, Professor X is really cool, and then the villain Magneto is a really cool villain as well. So, yeah, it's pretty Professor X and Magneto's relationship is pretty interesting in the comics, but I really like that no matter what they go through, no matter what they're struggling with inside, they always fight for the greater good. and it's like, hey, they have to deal with all the stuff that comes with being a mutant, but they still do the right thing, and it's really, really cool, and I like that. Also, I like the colorful outfits. I didn't like the black leather outfits, but whatever. Oh my gosh, I'm not here to. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I'm more than happy for them to have more X-Men movies personally. That's just my 2 cents. Okay. Finally, I want to say, so the 3 things I really love about the X-Men comics is, 1, it's about a bunch of misfits, outcasts, weirdos, love it. 2, they're in such a wonderful, vivid, fantastic world that you can totally just like escape into. There's a wonderful website called, I can link it to below. It's like a free, these nerds started it for free, and it's just because there's so many characters now in the X-Men world, so many. They started a website where you can just like, if you need to look up like, who is this person, because there's just been so many characters. There's like X-Force and X-Factor and Generation X, and yeah. There's like a lot. New Mutants, I think that was in the 80s. Yeah, so there's just like a lot of different things. Okay, a lot of different avenues you can go down just in the X-Men world. So, yeah, but the vivid world, the world's so extensive and awesome. And then the third thing I love about the X-Men is just that they are like, all the crap they have to deal with, and they all have to deal with a lot, they still choose to fight for the greater good. And yes, that's like super inspiring and awesome, and I love it. It inspires me to like fight for the greater good no matter what, you know? Okay, so last little tidbit, I just want to say this a little thing. So this is called the Phalanx Covenant. They're like bad guys. They're like kind of evil robots, basically. Okay, so, and this is how they introduced Generation X, which is, it was really cool to read about Generation X. And I love Jubilee. She's one of my favorite X-Men characters too. She's so cool. So I think she's here. There she is. Okay, yeah. Okay, there's Jubilee. She's really cool. Okay. But yeah, this is a really cool storyline. It's about like, these robots, the evil robots called the Phalanx, and they're trying to like, they're trying to kill all these new, yeah, X-Men comics, but they're trying to like kidnap and hurt all these new members of Generation X, and they're kind of young, so, but I wanted to show you, when I was a little kid, I read these, and these comics are, yeah, they're from the 90s, so I would always run to the section, I'd run to the, whenever we went to the grocery store, I'd run to this section, to the comics section. Okay, so one of my all-time favorite X-Men characters, they haven't shown her, I don't think, in the movies yet, or in the cartoons, but her name's Blink, and hey, this is the first time we ever see the character Blink. This is where they've all been kidnapped, so that's why they all look sad. But, spoiler alert, it's a really cool storyline, but Blink, at first she's sad and all that kind of stuff, but she's just a really cool character. Here she is again. Yeah, and her superpowers are like where she blinks and creates like, it's kind of confusing, and you can totally like Google it, but she kind of blinks and creates like, she can like splice people. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But what I do remember is, and just letting y'all know, I remember this, is that, spoiler alert, but this comic came out in the 90s, but Blink, there's this part where it's the end of the battle, it's part 4, and it's the evil robots versus Generation X, and a couple of X-Men jumped in, trying to rescue Generation X. It's like, it's down to Banshee, like, no one's able to fight the Phalanx, because they're really powerful robots. But then Blink, you can see right here, Blink decides, like, she's like, no, my powers, I can do this. Like, my powers give me the ability to do this. I can do this. So, she, like, yeah, and Banshee, he's, like, an old school, I like him, too. Okay, so the X-Men are trying to fight him, and then the evil robots, the Phalanx, and then Blink's like, no, I got this, I got this. And Blink grabs the Phalanx, Yeah, here you can see it. Blink. I still don't quite get it. Like, sometimes the power... But anyway, you can see she blinks the evil robots, the phalanx, right? And she does it so much so she can defeat the evil robots. But she does it so much that, as you can see here, Banshee's trying to save her. But she dies. And she dies saving... and she's young, right? Because she's about to join Generation X. So I'm going to say early 20s. But she dies saving the other X-Men, saving Banshee and Emma Frost. And I remember when I was a kid, this storyline made me sad. Because, like, you know, and here she is on the cover. She was one of my favorite characters. And I'd always, you know, as a little nerdy kid, I was like, oh, no, Blink. And I'd read the storyline over and over again. Because that's what I liked to do when I was a kid. And I'm like, no, Blink. Okay. But here's the magic of comics. Fast forward later, and I'm so glad they did this, but they brought Blink back. They brought her back in a really cool series called Exiles, and she's one of my favorite all-time X-Men characters ever. So she's just cool, and they established early on, like, technically she was only an X-Men for a week or two. This is before she even got on the team. But as far as her original storyline. But she was already doing the right thing and saving the day. So, yeah. But I'm just glad, I'm so happy they brought her back. Okay. So, yes, I really love the X-Men comics. I think they're really great. And, yeah, those are that's what I have to say about the X-Men comics. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Julie Kerr, writer and director of the Indie Nerdy Comedy Geekless Punk. You can learn more about me on my website below. I also have, you can join my email list. You get access to a free course that I created called Creative Productivity, How to Finish Your Creative Projects Faster, because I finished a feature film. You can like, subscribe, all the things. You can also, I have CashApp, Patreon, all the things you want to do to support me. But here's the most important thing you should do is, like, just remember, like, if you're feeling weird or different or what have you, that's okay. Everyone feels that. If you feel alienated by life sometimes, most people feel that. But you're put here for a reason, and you're put here to, I'm going to say, to do something awesome, whatever that is for you. So let the X-Men, the awesomeness of the X-Men, inspire you to do good and awesome things in the world, because you are awesome. You're as awesome as Blink. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I'm Julie. Enjoy your comics. Take good care of them if you're into comics. And yeah, or whatever you're into. Alright, talk to y'all later. Bye!